It is Wednesday. It is 10 o'clock where I live. I have no idea what time it is where you live, but good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Folks, it is Wednesday, and if I could get a confirmation that all the tech is working, then I can move on and waffle for the next hour or so. For those of you who are in the chat already, thank you for being here. Thank you for smashing, pressing, massaging the like button. I've got a confirmation that the tech is working, at least for now. We'll cross our fingers and hope that it will still be working in the next 15 minutes. So, folks, the plan today is to commiserate a bit about the incoming, maybe ongoing helpful content update, to talk about accountability. So, for those of you who are already in the chat, you need to tell me how things are going, and I will admit to you how things are going for me. And then the other usual catching up with questions and just talking about the normal things. Also, I noticed that these new glasses that I have purchased do not have the reflective coating on them, which is great. But now I'm catching all the reflections of stuff going in the backyard. It's super distracting. All right, so to the chat, I'm going to go over and say hey to our friend Game Guy, who was first. Thank you for getting into the chat early today and saying hi. I see Margaret and Dee, who is in the car for 3 hours and is a captive audience. I will not be here for 3 hours, dear. That's on you. And Adrian and Sonia and our friend Niche Campus. There's Joe and Harold, usually here lurking and working, and Zach. Thank you, friends, for being here. So the elephant in the room is really hard to avoid. The helpful content update. For those of you who may have been hiding under a rock in the past week, Google has pre-announced. They told us, they gave us the information in advance, which they rarely do, that they are planning to roll out an update. And theoretically, the update was supposed to launch this week. First question, has anybody noticed anything yet? Everybody was talking last week like it was going to start rolling out on Monday. And so far I've been looking and I have not seen like any major drama so far. So yeah, if you're in the chat and you are noticing anything or haven't heard anything, this is a great place to commiserate about it. So far, like I said, I haven't noticed anything. People in the chat are saying, oh, like Josh says, it's not on their page, so it hasn't started. I don't trust them. I don't trust them when they say they haven't started something, because they launch all kinds of things all the time without telling us. Joe says, Google is always late with these. It could be that they're just really trying hard to finalize what it is that they're planning on launching on us. So they just got to Monday and they're like, oh, not quite ready yet. Maybe tomorrow. But yeah, I think a lot of people were super stressed out last week. Totally me. And went through the weekend all stressed out and frantically like trying to get ready. So people are like, oh, I got to work on my EAT really quick before this launches. And ooh, really quick, I've got to go and run all my content through one of these AI detectors. And I've got to do all these things. And it sounds like they've been collecting data for this for quite some time. So I'm not sure that any of the stuff done last minute is going to do anything at all to help us try to avoid this. At least that's how I'm looking at it, right? I figure, well, they already know me, like whatever I've done, gotcha. And so now I can just sit back and drink coffee and like Joe said, or Josh said, I should say, is have some popcorn and like wait and see what happens. Folks who are saying that they are nervous and afraid because they do rely upon tools like Jasper. I think the concern is real. Part of me in my mind is really hoping that this update is aimed at taking down the people also ask sites that do this automation where they put in like tons of content that isn't even really related. For example, and I'm going to use my fence because that's what I see out the window. You would find articles that you say, what's the best fence board, the best type of wood to use to build a fence. And so that's the keyword in the title, right? And then the questions go down, down, down until you get to things that were related to things. So, oak is not the best, but if it said oak is the best, and then, what is oak? Like questions about oak, and then getting down to how you could cut down an oak tree in the Zelda gaming universe, and then questions about Zelda. And so then at the very bottom of the article, you'd be reading about video gaming when the initial part of the article was out fence building. I really hope that these sites are the target, but we won't know for a while. Uh, People who are also rolling in the chat, I see Maeve rolling in and Jen. And there's our friend, Towards Cashflow. Anthony, what's going on, friend? Have not seen you in the chat for a long time. Still following your content, still watching the videos, especially the videos about your Mega site, because we did start those sites at the same time. And I just it's like the little website that could. Like it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. There's Nataraj in the chat as well. And Joanne. Thanks for getting in there. Looking for accountability statements. There's Dee with the first one. She says, slow going. Feel that. Day job has been demanding time-wise, but there is plan. There's nothing wrong with admitting that the day-to-day makes it challenging, because we all feel you there. Maeve says she hasn't seen anything, just had the dreads, Seychelles, traffic, and just banned it. Yeah, I just ignore it. Maybe that's bad, maybe that's wrong. I just did. Zach says, I added the words, this is helpful content to all of my posts. That is one way to get that. It's just hashtag helpful content. Hashtag helpful content. Joe says, FYI, anything anyone does right now will have no effect. Everything in Google happens 2 to 3 months ahead of using older data. The upside, though, of this is that theoretically, this is supposed to be a site-wide situation, right? So if your site gets hit, it means that most, if not all, of your articles will be impacted by this. But I have heard that it is possible to overcome it, that it is possible to make changes and improve this helpful content sticker, this rating. So, it's if you're at this point where you're stressing out, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to totally get hammered, and it happens, then there is a chance that you could recover the site. It just wouldn't be something you would kick to the curb and you're like, well, I'm dead, and then move on. Zach says the SEMrush sensor is unusually quiet. Yeah, things look super stable to me right now too, which is maybe a concern because it's so unusual. I feel like lately everything since late spring has been bouncing up and down. So to see like consistency, while it's disappointing to see things being consistent, because I have been posting new content to my primary projects that I'm working on, so I would hope to see this rather than this. I'll still take this over this. That's all I'm saying. Sonia says she's seen an increase in traffic since Monday, so I don't know if that's the update. My dear, that just might be all of your hard work coming to fruition. So just keep up the good work. Sonia says, refocusing on US-based topics for my site to increase US traffic. And then Mediavine will hopefully happen, by the end of this year. That would be great. What a great goal. Joe says, the silent joke is that Google has big review offices set up in the Czech Republic at Seychelles. Well, we'll see if that plays out, how that plays out. As far as updates go, Jen says that she moved site 1 to a brand new site with number 3 and 301s, and the traffic has been growing very quickly. Feels risky, right? Doing these things where you move stuff and do all the 301s, but then when it works out, it feels really good. Now, Taraj says, my rankings have improved, but not much improvement in traffic. Sometimes you have to overcome some sort of threshold of getting into a place on page 1 where people are actually doing the clicking. Oh, Jen says her site number 1 was previously on Shopify and is now on WordPress. All right. Sabina says, happy Wednesday, friends. We say happy Wednesday to you and welcome. Josh thinks that the update is going to launch on Friday. Well, that's perfect because then nobody will have to go to work and then we can all just sit and drink our way through it. That's what I'm planning on doing. Literally, just planning on sitting back and drinking wine. Oh my goodness. All right. So I wish that I had the ability to like sit down with all the people in this chat in public because what we would do, I feel like, is do I don't want to say play a game, but um maybe do a quick like brainstorm of all the things that we think might happen and then make bets, right? Put money down on what will happen. Ooh, or if we could watch it live and like play bingo where we have the little cards and be like, oh hey, there's someone who's, but instead we will just have to come here on Wednesdays and commiserate. Although if things go sideways like on Friday, we might just stream anyway just because to commiserate. If I get hammered like across the board, I'm you know what? I might be out on the pavement filling out job applications. So don't I will not commit to anything. What else is on my list? What else is on my list to talk about today? I have the Google update, and I was willing to spend as much or as little of the stream to commiserate or to reassure. I don't know how much reassuring I'm able to do at this point because nobody knows what's going to happen. Okay, here's one thing. One thing I will say before I move on to talk about something else. Everybody who I've talked to, who has been in this, I don't want to call it a game, in this business for a long time, who is really successful, right? Like all the people I look up to, every one of them has endured some sort of massive struggle as a result of an update. So I don't want to say I hope this happens to you. I don't want to say I don't want it to happen to anybody, right? But the people who can get through this and soldier on and either learn from it or start something new or just find a way to make it work are going to be the people who, in a couple years from now, are going to be those big dogs, in my opinion. So I don't want to say it's a good thing because it will weed out the weak, because that's not what I mean at all. What I mean to say is that this is a long game and stuff like this will happen in any business, right? You say, oh, offline businesses are, less worrisome or stressful, but that's not always the case. Big stuff can happen offline too. So if we look at it as an excuse to quit or to stop and say, oh, well, I'll just go back to offline businesses, that's a faulty premise because offline businesses aren't necessarily more stable than this. Um, they are not secure against change, right? You could be in a business where a law could change and all of a sudden the business that was lawful yesterday is no longer lawful today. A zoning law could change and the kitchen that you had built on your farm where you were making money making wood-fired pizzas is no longer legal and you have to build a building to have that kitchen, which you cannot afford, and your business is gone. That actually happened to a company that is not too far from me. They were awesome, but the zoning changed and they had to close their business, which is super sad. But those things happen offline, and sometimes it doesn't come in the change of a law. It could be a disgruntled employee files a lawsuit, or having to declare bankruptcy because you weren't able to get your supplies from somewhere. I mean, people are afraid. I'm afraid, but it doesn't. It just doesn't necessarily have to be the end. It just is going to be a bump in the road. So that's how I'm choosing to look at it. I think that is the long way of explaining. I'm going to circle around. I'm going to circle around and get past this like mindset moment. This is a bump in the road. Whatever happens, folks, that's how we're going to look at it. This is a bump in the road. Whatever happens. All right, I'm done. I'm done. I won't do that anymore. I'm good. Zach says that his last business lost all their customers because Russia and Saudi Arabia's squabbling blew up the ethanol market. You never have full control. Yes, even though we would like to, especially those of us who are insane control freaks. We thrive on this fallacy that we can control everything when clearly we cannot. Joanne says she's going to the liquor store. Zach says that this update isn't named for a cute animal, so it must not be that bad. Or maybe it's the worst. Maybe it'll be the worst of all. Emil, what's going on? It's been a while since we've seen you in the chat. It is going to be interesting. Unless it is completely not interesting. Like what happens if it's rolling out right now and we have no idea because it doesn't impact us at all. Like that would be a huge relief, but just saying. D says, question to the group. Does anybody own a business other than their site? Or if not, what would you like to own? Well, I have this little dream in the back of my brain that if I made it big and sold out, like and had a whole bunch of money, I think I would have a bookstore. And instead of working, I would just let the books pile up and then sit and read them all day. And people would come into the bookstore and then not be able to find me because I'd be hiding in a stack of books somewhere and they wouldn't be able to buy anything. It would be hilarious. The bookstore would really just be a front for a place for all of my books and for me to read them. Oh my goodness. Jen says, I have a couple of Etsy shops that I run and merch by Amazon, which is very cool. D says, diabetic game guy. Game guy says that they have rental property. And by the way, I also have rental property. So that's another part of my portfolio I don't talk about all that often. Nave says that she owns a business, an e-com store, and external factors have destroyed it. Poor Brexit. I need to bite the bullet and pull the plug on it. That does happen. Zach says his site is the start of a business. He wants to grow into a full brand, including physical products, digital products, SaaS, etc. Savita says, I used to resell books because they're so fun to shop for. The problem is once I buy them, I don't want to send them back out. They become like friends. So yeah, that would be a problem for me. I could never be a buyer. I would just be I would never be a seller. I would just be a buyer. Ravi says, good evening from India. Ravi, thank you for dropping in. Folks, as always, if you have any questions, thoughts, or comments, feel free to drop them in the chat. I will try to get to them. Sometimes I miss them. Sometimes I don't know the answer. Got the whiskey ready. I'm scrolling up back through the chat. People are talking 301s with Jen's project. Go buy some wine, got some whiskey or single malt. If things go well, yes. So as far as accountability statements for me, I will go next. I was just looking at the Icarus spreadsheet and my goal for the month was 100 articles and I've got 61 of the 100 so far. I did have my Jasper subscription for one more month. It was supposed to end this week because I forgot to cancel it and it re-upped itself again. But after the update notice rolled out, I just didn't use it at all. I just putting a full pause and just writing off the money for the month paid for that because who knows what's going to happen right now. I'm looking over at Writer Access where I did buy content this month, and I have 13 more articles in progress there. So I have 61 done and another 13 to go. So that gives me 74, assuming that content comes in before the end of the month. And that leaves me with like 25 or 26 to write between now and the end of the month, which I think can be done. I've been primarily putting my written efforts into the fight site in the last month. Watching the Mega site bounce up and down with the updates has made me feel less enthusiastic about it. I think there is some seasonality going on and just kind of chilling and just going to see where things are. So instead, I've just been putting a lot of time into the fight site. And if I can this month to try to get like a whole 100 articles up there for the month, which would feel pretty good. might not make it. But again, like how many of the articles that I have done this month are for that site? Let's see, 51 of the 61 articles that I've done so far for the month were for the fight site. And I've only done like 4 or 5 for the mega site, and those are all outsourced. It's not a huge priority for the moment. And I will just straight up say that I have pressed pause on all other content investments just for now until the update rolls out, because I figure I'm going to put $1,000 into a site that is going to get fully destroyed by the update. I will be sad about it. So I'm just going to sit and wait and see. But yeah, so I should be able to get 25 articles written by Sunday. I guess that would be my goal, is to get through them all by Sunday. So I'm on track. Feeling good. I'm not seeing major impacts on the fight site yet for having posted all of that content, but because the site is competitive, and I've noticed it in this site in particular, that even if content is getting indexed right away, which it is, about 90% of the content is getting indexed on the same day. It's just not necessarily producing traffic. Like it will show up on page 1, in whatever rank it is, but it just will take a while before it's there consistently and Google is sending traffic to it. So I think we'll probably see the product of all of this content in about 5 months. I'm guessing after the new year. So it's like an investment, investing my time and making that happen. So yes, normally when I come to do accountability, I'm commiserating like, oh guys, I haven't gotten anything done. And turns out I've had a fairly productive month, and I should meet my goal. So I feel pretty good. How about you? Your turn. I served it back to you. Robbie says that he runs an eco website for home decor items. He says, want to know how to get traffic from US or Europe? As blogs that he writes bring traffic, usually targets Asian traffic. Well, a good way to target US traffic is to first of all, look for keywords that are specific, that trending specifically in the US or Europe. So if you're the only article on the topic that has to be about this specific long tail keyword that only people in the US are using, then it won't necessarily matter if your website is maybe Google knows or thinks that you are located in Asia. Yeah, I would target specific keywords. That would be my entire strategy, actually, is just look for keywords that US people in the US and in Europe are searching for. Zach says for accountability is that he's 2/3 of the way through his monthly goal. Did I say hi to J. Paul? By the way, if I didn't, hello. He's shifted some of the time to Twitter for his niche site, so we have to adjust next month's goal, which is always acceptable. Soren is in the chat. Let's go look and see what Soren has accomplished this month. Did he have a goal in there? Let's see. Is Soren in the, are you in? You're not. Oh, there you are. Your goal was, oh, no set goal. So a lot of stuff. Ooh, and you have a new case study video. I did I watch that? I may have watched that already and I've just forgotten. I did watch one of your recent videos though, Soren. So if that's the one, then I saw it. Oh, bookkeeping and video. Actually, bookkeeping is something that I do need to do this weekend. I need to put that on my to-do list right now. As it is time to do bookkeeping. All right. Maeve says that she's been busy going over old posts, brought 150-ish posts to be delivered over the next 2 months on a big content push on Icarus again. Sabina says she would like to do 2 things before the end of the month: send an email to her list and move a site to Cloudways. Dee says, well done on the productive month. I will pat myself on the back. Happily pat myself on the back. I've had a tough time being productive since the May update, so it feels pretty good to just be at this point and know, okay, yeah, I think I can get there without killing myself, destroying myself with work. Soren says, good job. Well, I say thank you. He says his accountability is finish refresh of email funnel and move to ConvertKit for authority site. No niche site work this week, which is totally okay. We all have stuff that needs to be done and things to be done. The next on my list of stuff to talk about was actually YouTube, and I have stayed out of YouTube lately, and I think it shows theoretically, previously, historically, my not necessarily this channel. This channel grows slowly, like hardly at all. But my main channel was growing fairly consistently, and that has really fallen off. And the primary reason I think is that I don't post over there very often, but also I just feel like I've kind of lost the sort of passion and enthusiasm for it, because whenever I make videos that I think are interesting to me, that they wouldn't go anywhere, they wouldn't do anything, and I would feel like um, they caused more harm than good potentially to the channel, because you launch a video and then the users, subscribers don't look at it, don't watch it, and then YouTube hates you. So maybe this is a good time, because we're all friends here. If I was to go back and rededicate myself to working on the main YouTube channel, so not this one will just consistently stay what it is. I'll continue to do what I'm doing here. But what kind of content would be helpful on the main channel? This is an opportunity to ask for specific kinds of videos. And if you say reviewing hosting, I don't know what I will do right now, folks. Do we really need another video about which is the best host for blogging? I mean, really? There's only like 6,000 of them. People also ask all the time for keyword research videos, and I have a hard time producing those because I feel like the answer is out there already, and I'm not necessarily an expert at it. I use all kinds of methods, and so me saying, here's what you should do, it's like almost like regurgitating what other people say. I'm pretty close, to be honest, like feeling badgered into making one, but it's not going to be the usual keyword research video. I have a feeling it will not perform well. But then whenever anybody asks about a keyword research video, I can just link them to that one, and then it's on them. Oh my. He says, I'm going away in a week. Can we have some more drawing boards so I can listen to that? Chris and I have not recorded any drawing board episodes lately. We've both been busy, and it has not necessarily been a huge focus. Banu says, no, too many hosting reviews already. Yeah, I don't feel like there's anything necessarily that I could add. And not only, I don't necessarily think that hosting, especially for somebody who's in their first year of blogging, really matters all that much. I just don't. Maybe that's an unpopular opinion, but whatever hosting you will use is the hosting that you should get. Whatever gets you started. Maeve says she does like income reports. You know, I think of, so I make jokes with friends here on YouTube that it's like a diet, right? Like people need lettuce. They need vegetables, they need healthy foods, but they don't want healthy foods. They want fast food. They want cheese or pizza. They want McDonald's. And so but McDonald's isn't necessarily that good for them. Income reports might provide you with like a short, like uplift, like a sugar rush, but they don't necessarily contain a lot in the way of value as far as like teaching or learning moments. They are there for like a dopamine rush to maybe prop you up for a bit. I feel like we need lettuce, but the only thing anybody wants to watch is McDonald's. So it's really hard to get excited and fired up about making McDonald's, because I don't know that it necessarily has very much value at all. And for me, as I've gotten in this business further, I've watched income reports a lot less. I pretty much only watch the income reports of people that I know or want to get to know, or I'm really looking up to, because I want to support them and I'm curious about their journey. Just like scrolling and looking for income reports is, I've gotten out of the habit of doing that. Although I will admit, I used to do it a lot because I felt like I needed that propping up. But it's almost it does the opposite now. So if I consume it, I feel I don't want to say defeated, but I feel less motivated because I feel like the gap is widening, right? I'm still doing the same thing I'm doing. I'm still putting in the work. Um, and the gap is not closing. Oh, you want to, before I go on, Doug Cunnington recently, I used to listen to Doug's podcast, the Doug Show, all the time in the car when I was driving in the car lot. And I haven't put it on in a long time. And I just clicked on one randomly. It was one of his mailbag podcasts earlier this week, and it was why you haven't succeeded online, like reasons why people don't succeed online. And I'm sitting here like having just completed 4 years of trying to make money online, still not having reached the goals that I set for myself. And so I'm like, okay, Doug, tell me, explain to me why I have not succeeded online. And then it goes through the usual ones, but they struck me kind of hard. Like one, you don't work hard enough. And I was like, oh, okay, okay. Like unrealistic expectations. And I'm like, all right, you may have gotten me there, Doug. I may have unrealistic expectations for what I can achieve. And then he admitted straight up, he's like, and I'm people like me online are probably partially at fault for this, right? He's like, because I create videos that glorify these people who are successful in a short amount of time. And so these people are not the rule, right? This doesn't happen in every case, but it creates what do they call it? Survivor bias, where you see one person succeed, and that makes you think that everybody, like it's possible for everybody to do it in just the same way. And so you feel defeated, you feel surprised when you realize that just because those guys made $10,000 a month in 4 months doesn't mean that that everybody can and will, but that's what we tend to take away from it. And I was like, so in my head, I'm thinking, Doug, are you, am, is the content that I'm consuming, is that why I'm not successful? But anyway, it just reminded me again why it is that I'm consuming less. I don't want to say motivational content, but less of the content from the YouTube creators online who are in the niche website space. Because if it's income reports, then is it creating survivor bias? Is it creating unrealistic expectations? Probably. And am I contributing to those unrealistic expectations by producing McDonald's and McDonald's only? But if I don't produce McDonald's, then what would I produce? Because nobody wants lettuce. They just want McDonald's. I don't know. I don't know what the future is for me here on YouTube, aside from the live streams, which are pretty much my favorite because I get to talk to people, get to talk to people. Maeve says, yeah, about the income report. She says, yeah, but people like reassurance, so that they're doing it right. Fair enough. I have done that. I have gone to look at income reports to get reassurance. Zach wants to know, he says, what part of the process do you bring the most expertise to? Well, that's a great question, actually, because my imposter syndrome runs wild. And so mostly what I can say is not necessarily I bring a level of expertise. But here are the things that I have done, right? I have started a website from scratch and grown it from 0 to 100,000 page views a month in a reasonable amount of time. I got a site from 0 to $2,000 a month in earning in 12 months. I get traffic in niches that people say are too competitive. I can do, I think, keyword research and rank on things on page one. I have some basic on-page SEO skills. I can go to Namecheap and purchase a domain. I mean, this information, though, like, it's out there. So is it a good idea to make the same videos and just keep making them over and over? Which part of the process do I bring the most expertise to? I don't know. What do y'all, I'll kick that back to you. Sit here and tell me, what is the thing that you're probably the best at? What are you the best at? For me, I'm probably, of all of my skills, I'm probably the best at finding a keyword, putting it into Google, and then evaluating the page one results and making a decision whether or not to write on that keyword. I think I'm developing skills in coming up with keywords that will drive traffic, even though Google is not suggesting the keyword term, and the keyword term is not showing up in any of the search tools. I think by working on understanding how Google works, and also how people who are sitting down are searching for things and how that will play out. But yes, what is your, I'm going to put up my air quotes, expertise? Let's hear that. Soren says his videos spike anytime I show analytics and search console data. Just do that. Yeah, but I'm so tired of doing that. Once you're in year 4 of just doing screenshots of Google Analytics, you're like, there's got to be more than this. Jen says she likes strategy case study videos, like how you make your plan, how you execute, and results. Maeve says she likes case study videos. So how are case study videos different from income reports? Are the case study videos more about sitting down and just like waxing poetic about what I'm doing here? I mean, is that helpful? I mean, I could do more of that. That involves me talking more, but Ravi says, is there a Google group by which we can join to get motivation by updating our targets or any obstacles we face in journey and get guidance from, the places I recommend? I actually recommend 2 Discord groups. I think that Minted Empire Keith, if Keith is in the chat, his Discord group is just a big group of niche website owners, creators, bloggers, and there are many people who are in the chat right now who are in that group. And I also think that Niche Safari Chris has a Discord that is also full of people who are building sites. I currently do not maintain one of these groups, primarily because I don't think that it's a good use of my time to spend a lot of time in those Discords, because if I'm on my computer working, I feel like I should be creating content. And if I'm not creating content on my computer, then I should not be on my computer. And because I have children, right? So if I don't have the kids, I'm right here. And if I'm not right here, I have the kids, and I don't want to be stuck like this. Which is what happens when I'm really, really, really invested in a Facebook group or in a Discord. So I think that they can be really helpful if you have a specific need to socialize and to build a maybe to the point where you have your own mastermind and you have people that you talk to one-on-one. But for just hanging out, I don't have one. But those are the 2 that I recommend right now. Margaret says, how about interviews? Even re-interviewing some of the former people and checking on their progress. That could be fun. That actually, interviews are enjoyable for me. The content tends to perform really badly long term because people don't really like to watch long form interviews, but it would just be interesting to put them on this channel here. And I may do that. I may do that starting in the fall once school gets going on, just because it's interesting to me and I'm passionate about talking to people about this business. Banu says, income reports and any best practices from last month would be good. Maeve says, people like to see real ones. Sonia says, maybe show us how you do competitor research. Okay, interesting. Zach says, interviews are good. Tips on managing the business side of things, SOPs, strategizing. D says pizza. Yeah, don't talk about pizza anymore. I haven't eaten anything yet, and so now I'm hungry. Jen says that she loves the income reports and case studies about the sites that are not instant successes. Okay, well, I have plenty of those I could make videos about. Seeing other people have issues and not feel the hit feels more realistic and like I am in the same boat. Maeve says, I think it can be. Maeve says that she likes income reports. It's McDonald's. They just taste so good. If you like McDonald's, if you don't like McDonald's, then replace that term with a food that you really like that is not good for you. German Fred Gasparil. Hello. I'm sorry if I did not get the name right, but welcome, friend. If you are new in the chat, you're welcome to lurk, but it's much better if you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you found your way here, what it is that you're hoping to achieve or learn. Tell us about your business, where you were at, because then we know how to congratulate you on your successes next week or next month when you come back and report how things are going. Robbie says that everyone's journey is different. It's true, with a different pace. So best for us to be the better version of ourselves and beat our own targets, not be frustrated by seeing others' income reports. Yes, well, that is something I've struggled with lately. Game Guy says, I honestly think I'm average or below at every aspect of blogging. I'm okay with that as long as I just try to improve my skills. I think that perspective is hard to achieve here. I also think that because it is difficult to really, I'm going to put up my air quotes, compare ourselves to other people when we say, oh, like, I think I'm not, because I'm at X dollars a month, that I must be below average. And I think that comes from surrounding ourselves or only being around people who are successful, and it makes it easy to feel like I'm not that good at this. I want to say I cannot give you the exact number because I would be completely butchering it. I would be making it up. But early on in this business, somebody dropped a stat about how many people never make a single dollar online, and it's the overwhelming majority, right? The overwhelming majority of the people who get into a particular strategy for online business, whether it's e-com or blogging or merch by Amazon or all of these things, the majority of them never make a single dollar, and then they lose money. So our friend Game Guy says he feels like he's below average and behind everybody, yet he is somebody who has made $1,000 in a month, right? Our friend Game Guy, I saw his income report recently, and he had made over $1,000 in 1 month in earnings, and has had 2 vacations that he has paid for with his earnings that were really nice, fun, interesting. I want to say expensive-ish trips. So it's easy, I think, to think of ourselves as not being that good at this, or that other people are way better, or that I'm slow to make it happen. But that's because the majority of those people who are not successful aren't here, are not surrounding us right here. So you can't compare yourself to them. So I understand where you're coming from, and I don't want to minimize your feelings because those feelings are valid. But at the same time, I just want to remind you that you can't compare yourself to people who aren't here. Because if they were here to tell you to put their hand up and say, yeah, I've made $0, big fat donut. In fact, I've lost thousands of dollars without making any money, you would have that perspective. It's just a reminder that that is out there. And the majority of people are not making any money whatsoever. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox there. Sorry that happened. Jay Paul says, master of none. That is totally me. Totally me. Zach says his strength, his expertise is analytics and automation, finding ways to quickly identify trends and get rid of the repetitive tasks. Excellent. Jen says, I would love to hear your keyword process. I am so over the use of Ahrefs and keyword difficulty. I am not currently using Ahrefs at the moment. I have used Ahrefs and I like the tool. I just don't like paying for it. And so I use it every now and again, but not that often. And I understand what you mean about yeah. Sabina says her favorite videos are interviews. Well, I'm hearing some interest in interviews. So live interviews or the pre-recorded ones that I would post. So that's the next question. Would you rather it be live or pre-recorded? Bloggers on the rise. Thanks for dropping in. By the way, I don't think I've seen you in the chat. It says she excels at scaling and managing multiple blogs. I like that you are a fellow female blogger. I totally am excited that you are in the chat. Bloggers on the rise, and I think I know who you are, dear, and I'm going to look at your website really quick, the bloggers on the rise.com website. And I'm, yep, and I have totally I've totally stalked you before, both on YouTube and on your website. So yeah, welcome, our friend. See, now that I see your thumbnails, I'm like, yep, yep, yep. So there's another blogger who publishes income reports and who is very successful. And we should chat sometime. That'll be fun. I really enjoy talking. I enjoy talking to the men because, you know, but it's fun to connect with the ladies too. Our friend Niche Safari Chris rolling in only 45 minutes late. What's up, Chris? I did shout out your Discord though. And it looks like, how did you not know that Keith has a Discord? Keith has a Discord, and apparently you're missing out because you did not know this. Am I that far back in the chat? We're only getting to Discord. Yes, well, those are two Discords you should that you should get into. Jen says, I think that seeing other people's train of thoughts and processes are very helpful in order to help create your own process. Excellent. Harold says, a day in the life video. I want to see how much coffee you drink in a day. Well, it's spoiler alert. I consume as much as I can until 11:59 a.m. And then after 11:59, there can be no caffeine consumed. Caffeine is a 12-hour drug, and so I will not go to sleep if I consume anything after noon. I usually have 2 cups, about yay size. And I drink it cold because if I make it warm and then I chase my children around, it gets cold. And so I've just gotten used to drinking cold coffee. I just make coffee and then put it straight in the refrigerator and just put milk in it, and that's it. Sonia says, random question. My blog post was linked to a podcast as a resource. That's great. They talked about the topic for the whole episode. Does that mean my site was featured, or do you have to be on the episode? I would say that you would feel free to say whatever you want. I would feel comfortable saying featured. Why not? Featured, talked about, and if they don't like it, then they can come to you and say, you can't say that, but seems like if you were to put on your website featured on, X, and they like, why would they take issue with maybe even a link back to their podcast? It could be that they did it on purpose to try to get you to create a backlink to their podcast. I don't know. And people in the chat might disagree with me, but I don't think it's a big deal to say featured on. Yeah, featured on blah 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 podcast. I would feel comfortable saying that. Joe says, absolutely feeling that behind the pack mentality, but just got to keep working. I feel like the gold rush that I missed it sometimes, but I'm in here still working at it, still chugging away, still trying to learn, still got to get there. Leona says live are great. So you would say for a pre-recorded interview versus a live interview, you would go with live. Jen says her expertise, her strength is stubbornness. I think that is super important in this business, is grit and willingness to just stick with it, no matter what. No matter what panda or cute little animal is currently chewing up your websites. Stick with it. German Fred. Okay, you have to tell me if I get your name right. German Fred is what I'm going to go with. It says, you could call me Men. That doesn't help either. This is my first year blogging. About 2 age domain websites. Well, welcome and congratulations. Sold his first site after 5 months. Well, congratulations. Let us know if there is anything you're interested in learning about. His second site is his main site and lost all the keywords when I look on SEMrush. Yeah, that's happening to a lot of people, especially after May, sadly. Still hopeful and working on it slowly. Google Search Console impressions are still around 1.5 thousand per day. Not totally dead. I agree. Not totally dead. I'd say keep up the good work. I think you will get there. Maeve says, smash the like button, and I concur. Margaret says she doesn't mind either live or pre-recorded. Also upload as a podcast so I can listen on my walk. Yeah, I still am holding the podcast. The Fall Forward podcast has been completely neglected for more than a year, and I've been going back and forth about whether to continue using it. Maybe that's another decision that I will come to in the fall when the kids go back to school. Chris says he was getting a haircut. So, Chris, your hair is long. So when you get a haircut, it goes from like here to here. I'm waiting for one of these days when you actually just cut it all off. So it goes back to your headshot photos. That would be, to me, that would be a haircut. Keith is late to the party. Keith, we shouted out your Discord earlier. People were asking where to go to hang out with other like minded bloggers. And we totally put your Discord in the chat. I don't have one. I also recommended Chris's, but if anybody else has other ideas for good places to be social and hang out, feel free to tell Dee so she could put it in the chat. May says that she doesn't feel like she has any skills. Well, dear, why is it that it is more women who will say, I don't have skills, and the men don't have a problem saying, me, I know how to do this? Maeve, you clearly know how to do some things because your site that you're working on is doing insanely well and is growing insanely well. So I'm going to kick that back to you. You have said, I'm not sure I have had any skills, and I reject that statement as a friend. And I ask you to come back and try again. It doesn't have to be expert level, but why don't you tell us something you think that you're good at? Because if you say the answer is nothing, I don't believe you. I don't. Josh says, I am currently writing outlines for 45 posts. That is excellent. Excellent. Chris says, to be honest, if you're anything like me, you're always going to feel behind the pack no matter how much money you make. Well, I am like you, and I do feel that. Ravi says, is content made by AI tools? Will it drive more credibility compared to traditional writer posts? So many AI tools coming up every day, and will traditional writer content be at a disadvantage? Well, I think that is one of the questions that will be answered pretty soon, potentially by the helpful content Google update that could be rolling out imminently. Maybe last week the answer might have been yes, but especially because so many of the AI sites did really well as a result of the May update. So everybody was like, AI is awful. Why bother using it? And then all these big dogs with AI driven sites just like went gangbusters through the May update, and it looked like AI was the future, and everybody is like doubling down on AI, and they're like, I might as well use it. All the guys who are using it got the benefit in May, so why not? And then we get the helpful content update, which looks like it is aimed at AI. So why don't we table that question till after the update rolls out? And then let's have that discussion. Zach reminds us that Niche Campus has a Discord, and you are welcome to put that in the chat as well. Or Dee, if you happen, Dee is thriving. Why would Dee be looking for these things? Joe, you are welcome to share that in the chat. And if I see the post come up, I will approve it. And if not, maybe Dee will find it. Harold says, at Josh is preparing to dominate the Content Warrior Challenge in Project 24 next month. I think you might be right. Maeve, so I rejected Maeve's assertion that she has no skills or expertise and comes back with dogged determination. And I accept that one. That is a skill and expertise, and is not necessarily something that people come preloaded with straight out of the box. Josh says it doesn't look like it's aimed at AI. So I think that we can agree to disagree on that one, Josh. I think we can agree to disagree on that. I think that it is possible that this update is aimed at AI. Not necessarily just the use of AI tools, but sites that do utilize AI in nefarious ways. And it will probably, depending on how it plays out, could discourage people from using AI in the future. We'll see. Chris says, Jasper needs 2 things for me to get enthusiastic about it. 1, it needs to read my blog and learn my writing style. And 2, it needs to be better at research. He says, in the meantime, he uses it sometimes to get over writer's block, but that's all. Yeah, I shut down my account this last week because I wasn't using it, and I've kind of gotten into a rhythm of writing myself, and then we will see. Josh says 1 is done by you in the content brief and tone. 2 is impossible. Oh, back to what Chris has to say. Dee says, I'm not driving back now, but I didn't know that Niche Campus have one. I'm feeling left out. Yeah, now I feel like I've got to go to, might as well throw some links here into the chat. For those of you who don't follow Bloggers on the Rise, that is her website right there. She's in the range of like 10 to 20,000 a month, at least from her most recent income reports. So for those of you who like to follow folks that are making like growing towards mid 5 figures, that's a good place to follow. And I'm looking and realizing that I'm not in Joe's Discord either. So if somebody wants to Discord me the link to Joe's Discord place, the invitation, then I will post it, even if I can't. Chris says that Jasper needs to scan my entire site to get a good grasp of how I write. Well, that would be, there it is. Here we go. I'm going to put that in the chat right here. So this is the invitation to our friend Niche Campus, his Discord, if that will, I guess it should allow me to post it, right? Because I'm the boss here. It has 117 members, and I'm going to click the join button here because, and I'm already scrolling and seeing some familiar faces in there. All right, so plenty of resources today. Josh says unicorns. Oh, get this. You can see right behind me right there. So I took my kids yesterday to buy school supplies, and I must have been distracted because we somehow managed to get through the store and all the way home to unloading. I'll be right back. And my daughter has this. How did that get first of all, into the cart? How did I buy it? And how did it happen without me even noticing it? My child is becoming a little me. It's like sneaky. I could not believe it. Like she got it all the way home and she's, Mom, you had it for me. And I was like, no, I didn't. She's like, I mean, she couldn't have stolen it. It's too big and she has no pockets. So I bought this without even realizing it. Speaking of unicorns. All right, folks, it is the top of the hour. It's been great to chat with you. If things go sideways in a big way by the end of the week, I may just do a ninja surprise live stream. But if not, I will talk to you next week. All right. Take care, everybody. Cheerio.